All right, here we go. Morning Rambles. We are live and direct from the internet. Thanks for joining me. Okay, so excited to be here again. This is it makes me so happy to do this. I really enjoy sharing thoughts and ideas, and if they're beneficial to any of you, I'm going to change my lighting situation because it's too aggressive. I look like I'm being shot with a light can. All right, here we go. We're back. This is good. Much better. A little bit softer. I hope everyone's doing well today. Again, shout out to everybody who's out there dealing with COVID life. Hey, what's up, Miranda? Good morning. Thanks for joining me. I put a question out there. If you guys have questions, this is really an opportunity for you guys to ask questions about anything you may have going on in your life around embodiment, mindset coaching, or training. So if you're working towards a goal and you want some help, this is an opportunity for you to ask me questions about whether something makes sense and whether you're doing something right, whether there's a better way of doing something. Please just drop a comment, drop a question. If I don't get to it in this time, if I miss it for whatever reason, I'll answer it in another Morning Rambles. You get a great view of my bathroom today. I forgot to close the curtain. Maybe I'll go do that right now. This is just real life, it's just real life. Things happen. Okay, well, this is a great day, no matter what day it is. It's great because we're alive, and I'm super grateful for my body. I haven't felt really good this week. My system has not been functioning as well as I wanted it to. So I'm just grateful to have what I have, which is, a mostly functioning body and friends and community. I got a question here. Okay, how do you keep yourself motivated to get things done? Something I struggle with. It's a great question, and I think the reason I got into everything I'm into is because I used to struggle with that a lot. I am historically not a very organized person, and historically very scattered. Been an artist most of my life, and so being an artist kind of led me to be very explorative rather than structured. An old thing to decide to go towards structure. So if the question is how to get motivated, it's a decent question, but I think the question is more about why don't you care enough to be motivated, right? And the reason I frame it that way is because when something is a true need in your life, when something really actually matters, you make time for it. Think about falling in love. Think about if you have a pain in your body, if you actually have a serious pain, or if you cut your finger and you need to go to the hospital to get stitches, you go and deal with it, right? Those are very extreme examples, but your life is very similar. So rather than thinking, how do I get motivated? You have to kind of address the reason you're not, which is fundamentally a really hard answer, which is that you just don't care enough, right? And that's not a bad thing. It makes sense. It's really hard to learn how to care about things that we've never cared about, especially when we're learning, because learning is inherently uncomfortable. Learning is inherently the most bothersome thing that we could do to our system, because it involves trial and error. It involves being in places that we've never been before, which is very uncomfortable. And so you need to understand that process, the thing that's built into the process of doing something new, is uncomfortable. Now, does that mean you should be hurting yourself while you're dealing with the pain or the discomfort or with the learning? You shouldn't be hurting yourself. But for the number one thing that I would say if you're struggling with motivation is, like, get really clear with your values. Like, what do you actually value? And we value the things when they're gone. That's a historically a really normal human thing. So, um, I think getting really specific about what you want to get motivated about is the first thing. Are you and this is a really common one, is that a lot of people will say, I'm not motivated, I'm procrastinating, I'm not doing enough at all. And it's like, well, that's too ambiguous. Okay, you don't that's not really a good structure. You can't really stand on that, can you? You can't really make any positive decisions or clear decisions from there. So, getting really clear with what you're procrastinating, like, are you procrastinating getting a course done? Are you procrastinating taking your health into your hands? Are you procrastinating starting a movement program or an exercise program? Are you procrastinating telling your boss that you hate your job and you want to quit? Like, what's the thing? And then get really clear with, well, what would happen? And this is a great exercise. What would happen if you just kept on living your life the way it was? And what would that look like? Because chances are you already know. Um, yeah, have a great day, Miranda. No worries. Uh, so yeah, Miranda's just asked that question, so she has to head off there. But I think this question of, like, motivation is a really good one. But it's not, you can't come at it from a direct angle. You got to kind of sidestep it a little bit and go look at the bigger picture and ask yourself why you don't care about the thing that you think you should care about. Because maybe the reason you think you should care about that is actually programming. Like, maybe that idea of what you think you should be doing didn't even come from you. How much time have you spent with yourself to understand why you want that thing? And there's so much influence right now these days, when it comes to ideas of how to live your life, that, man, it can be really confusing and overwhelming to get really clear on what you actually value and what you actually care about. So that's a great question. I get it a lot. And the one thing too I'll mention, I'll take a sip of coffee first. Mm, God damn. Shout out to coffee drinkers and this magical bean that has taken over the world. In terms of a species of plant, like, their success story, coffee is a pretty successful species of plant. It's figured out how to, like, create a host, or, like, maybe we're not a host, but kind of manipulate another species to keep growing it and consuming it. It's so crazy that life, like, when you really think about it, like, coffee is a species, and it's evolved and it existed, and then somehow humans interacted with it, and we were like, oh shit, we can use this to our benefit. And the plant's like, yeah, you can. Here you go. Here, drink more. We want you to drink more of this. Yeah. Anyways. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about this morning about realistic training expectations, because, I'm really here for you guys. Like, I really want to be here to allow you to get the most out of your training, and not just training, but embodiment. And two different things. Not necessarily different, but they're having a conversation with each other. They're not necessarily the same. So, one of the biggest issues that a lot of people encounter is that their training doesn't add up to what they want right away. It feels like they're getting nowhere. And when you're thinking about, again, what you really value, if all you value is this like end goal that you're going to be worth something only if this works, then you're kind of focusing on a need that will never get met. And training really is a mindset of like getting into the process and understanding that you're just in it, and you're going to be moving through it for the rest of your life if you make that choice. And so you stop counting. It's a good idea to stop over counting and obsessing about the outcome immediately, because the outcome, especially when it comes to mobility and awareness and understanding your body and getting closer to your body, it could literally look like a very, like, especially when people do spine, when I do spine mobility with people, it could be the difference. The improvement you could be making could be the difference of like a micromillimeter of movement in one of your vertebrae, like tiny, and you could barely feel it, but you're making an improvement. You're creating a connection. So measuring this stuff, you can't really measure it in the way that you think you can measure it. A lot of embodiment is it's a felt sensation, and it sometimes starts as just like a murmur, just like this little soft, like, oh, that felt a little different. And a lot of times it feels like nothing. And so when you're working at unpacking your body, which I think mobility is kind of an unpacking, it's an unraveling of the stiffness and the limitations that you've created for yourself. Once you start unraveling that, if you stay committed to the process and you stay committed to the idea that things can change, which is a very hard thing to do. I'm not going to pretend like that's easy in any way, because if you've had a frozen shoulder, or you've been stuck in kind of a hunched position for 6, 7 years or 20 years, some people, or you've had some kind of like limitation for a long time, it can be really hard to get motivated about that. And that's why having a coach or having a trainer with you is really important, because your brain will want to tell you that it's impossible. It'll be like, oh, well, it's never been like that, so it can never be like that. So, a lot of the times I'm just helping convince people that the thing that they're working towards is happening just by them showing up. And when I look at realistic training expectations, if you've never trained before, okay, I'm going to get really clear with this. If you've never trained before and you decide that you want to change your shoulder mobility, or maybe you have a little bit of experience with training but you've never really like dove in, the goal is not to ace your training expectations within the first 2 weeks. The goal is to show yourself that you can show up regardless of the outcome every single time that you say you're going to do it. So, for example, right away, I wouldn't suggest anyone do 5 days a week of training, or even 4, or even maybe 3. 3 even right off the bat can feel overwhelming. It's a good number to work up to for the first 6 months of training. Like 3 to 4 times a week is a great goal. But when you're looking at the first month, 2 months, you want to just prove to yourself that you can put it in your calendar, that you'll show up and you do what's on your workout card. That's it. Okay? Doesn't matter how you feel, doesn't matter what your brain thinks, doesn't matter any obstacle in front of you, that you make that decision that you're fucking doing this and you show up. So right now gyms are, I think they're closing again. I have to look up apparently there's new regulations. So any of you who are trying to get a home workout plan, man, I feel you. It's hard to get motivated in your own space, but put it on your calendar, put it on your wall, put it right next to your bed, the time of day and how long, and you write down. And if you've never worked out before, no more than 5 exercises, no more. I would even say 3. And your workout should be half an hour to 40 minutes with a little bit of a warm up or 5-minute walk before. Super fucking easy. Don't make it complicated, because if you get into the habit of showing up to yourself when you say that you're going to show up to yourself and you don't make excuses and you succeed at that and you prove to yourself that you can do that, literally that's what Olympic athletes are doing. Literally that's what the world class people who are doing anything are doing. And they progressively increase the difficulty after they establish that habit. People who are in the Olympics, they still struggle with getting that motivation, but they know that half of the battle is showing up, or more than half the battle. Because once you show up, if you have a little bit of a routine, or that you have an understanding of what you're supposed to do, a lot of it will come more naturally the more you do it. So don't overcomplicate it. Okay, guys? Like seriously, if you're really you know, looking at improving your body, don't overcomplicate it. Um and this is my bias. Other people will give you different opinions. My bias says really be skeptical of these like YouTube hit workout stuff. Okay, that's not. I didn't go direction for a reason, right? Like if you think anything I have to say is worth my salt, right? Or I don't know if that's the expression, but that's what I'm going to say. If you think anything I have to say is worth anything, I've spent the last 2 years or more really diving into understanding what the healthiest ways of moving are. And I've spent most of my life moving my body. I didn't decide to go towards intense workouts. Why didn't I do that? Because I value embodiment and awareness over the pump feeling, right? I really decided that the value of my body, and also the science doesn't necessarily support that stressing your body through hit workouts when you've never done any body awareness is supportive to your longevity. And if you can't move slowly, if you can't do a movement slowly and with control, you sure as hell shouldn't do it quickly with a weight to a fucking timer and some chick who's not watching, chick, guy, person, anyone online, any coach who's not watching your form. I don't do a lot of dynamic movements. And I had to stop doing dynamic movements. And by dynamic, I mean with a certain level of intensity or tempo or timing. And so if you're looking at making a next step, the goal, if you care about my opinion, don't do the hit workouts. Don't do the cardio. Don't just run for no reason. Focus on awareness. And this is why I do my job, is because awareness, if you build awareness, okay, and you build, like I said, if you build your habit and the foundation of you showing up to yourself, plus you have awareness, dude, those are some fucking unstoppable skills. Like you can do so much more with that. If you just turn on a hit workout and you grab a 5-pound dumbbell and you start jumping up and down and doing burpees and like moving yourself really quickly, what are you getting out of it? More than a little bit of endorphins. You're probably putting your joints at risk because you've never done these exercises before and you've never practiced them slowly. You're probably not learning any fine motor skills or understanding real coordination. If you look at true mobility and true understanding of how to move your body, the greats, they don't move fast. Or if they do move fast, you can see that they have complete control over it, right? They're not just flailing their body. So, a lot of people in my community, especially out west, and I got into this and I love it, is, you get up and you just start flowing. You just start moving your body. And that's great. But take that plus awareness, plus some skills on understanding how to move your body properly, and slow it down. Take the time to understand how things are moving and listen to the sensations. You will get so much more out of it. So much more out of it. Okay. So that's a little bit of a rant. And yeah. I'm going to check questions here. See if anyone's posted any questions here. No, no comments. Cool. Okay. So realistic, yeah, just be realistic. If you're someone, so I'll give you another example for people who out there who do have a little bit. Let's say you're someone who's done yoga, you've done the 2 or 3 times a week yoga thing. Um, you have a little bit of a history going to the gym, and um, and you're thinking to yourself that you want to up your training, like figure out how to improve your training. The best way to improve your training, if you already have the rhythm, is to understand um, the formulas and the understanding of skills involved in the thing that you're training for. So you have to get clear with what you want. So if you want to be a good yogi, or if you want to be a good runner, or if you want to be a good weightlifter, that's the time. If you already have the habits and you have the understanding of a little bit about like what you want to do, then you start getting a little bit more theoretical. Theory and a little bit of science, more structure, and up the intensity. You start playing with these little knobs to get a little bit closer to what you want, and keep increasing them, right? Um, so, a lot of times people will just stick to the same practice thinking it's going to make them better at it. And it will, to a point, but you need to work on other components of what you're doing to get better at it. So, for example, okay, so if you wanted to be a good yogi, I'm going to just use that example because it's a really common one. If you want to be a good yogi, a lot of people don't train and condition their wrists. A lot of people I have several friends, they say, I love yoga, but my wrists always hurt. Well, if you want to be good at yoga and your wrists always hurt, you should train your wrists. It's that simple. Like, you should condition your wrists to do what you're asking your wrists to do. And you shouldn't just look at a pose or a position and go, oh, well, do that pose because my teacher is teaching that pose and that's the way it should look. That's where I should go. No. Can your body do the thing that you want it to do right now? No, you experience pain, discomfort, you're unable to do it with control. Then break it down. Why can't you do it with control? Work on the piece that is preventing you from doing that, and then integrate through doing the movement, and then get better at it. And I posted a little bit about this in my handstand picture or video the other day. Oh. So um, it's a little bit more, and when you start going and have real goals, you know, um, which is different than, like, a real goal, and this is it's gonna sound funny, but a real goal differs than like just wanting to be healthy, right? Being healthy is a bad goal. It's a really vague goal. It's not clear. So if being healthy to you, like if you look up this guy David Goggins, okay, David Goggins, his idea of being healthy, and I don't necessarily think he thinks he's healthy, but his lifestyle that he wants to support involves him running a marathon every day, and he like beats his body up to no end. And for him, that's the lifestyle he wants to live. Whether he calls it healthy or not is not important. The point is that's the way he wants to live his life. Some people think that running is the only healthy thing, so they commit their time to running. You need to understand what's healthy to you. For myself, I'll speak for myself. Healthy for me means a couple things. One is that I'm consistently eating food. I've had a history of not eating food, as much food as I need, and the right food. Means I'm consistently moving, and I'm getting better at the things I enjoy. So running is one of those things. Dancing is one of those things, and I also really enjoy understanding how to manipulate weight in dynamic ways these days with kettlebells and um, other things. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my camera here. So, um, but my health actually, and it has one component of superficial, like I want to look good. That's something I value. Um, I also value my breathing. I want to be able to breathe without effort and feel like that's a big part of my easy part of my life. So I prioritize those things, and I'm making and I have real goals of what I want to be able to achieve next year, and they're really clear. Um, I want to be able to run a marathon, but without regular shoes, with barefoot shoes. I want to be able to do the splits, but an active splits, so more like a head kick. Um, and I have other other goals that I won't get into. But if your goal right now is just to be healthy, it's good. But when you really start taking it seriously and you start being really precise with your goals, that's when you're going to really see the results. Um, so, for those of you who have a current movement practice, start getting clearer with your goals. Start getting clearer with your understanding of what all that looks like. I think I'm going to leave it at there. That was a pretty full ramble. Again, a little bit more serious. I think Monday will be loopy. I'll get a little crazy. Maybe I'll dance around a little bit. I did say today was going to be a mobility day. I didn't get into that partly because I'm just feeling like a bag of shit today. So I'm gonna. But I appreciate y'all listening. If you have more questions, I'm here for you. I want you to get where you need to go in your body, in your soul, in your training. Shoot me a message, send me some questions. Be happy to answer you in morning rambles. This is every day. I think I'm going to change the time. I'm going to think about it. Might be 9 a.m. instead of 10 a.m., but you guys will know that. I'll post it up online. Okay. Much love to everyone. I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk soon.